bad. It's
All views expressed by the hosts and guests in this podcast are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of their respective employers. Guests and hosts may maintain positions in the assets discussed in this podcast. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and nothing in the podcast is intended to be financial, legal, or even life advice. GM, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of More Than Speculation. In today's issue, we have Joanna from Soon. Where does this podcast find you, Joanna?
Great. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. Yeah. Great to be part of this fun podcast, with you guys, to Lambro, Marco.
All right. I think we can just jump right into it, man.
All right. We'll start with some rapid questions first. The first one is community, tech, or price. How would you prioritize them, and what's more important?
Oh my gosh. Interesting. Depends on the stage of your project, right? So at the very beginning, absolutely prioritizing product and tech. I think specifically for infra project, it's really it's the tech, right? And we'll go. I'm sure we'll go into this in like the longer answers, and then in the more once you have like a product that people can use, right? That's when you really need to pay 100% your focus on the community.
Nice. All right. What makes a good chain?
That is a question, to be or not to be. Okay. Let's see. What makes a good chain? Right. So I think it's really going back to differentiation, right? So if you're going to copy pasta everybody else's design, then not offering anything new, then it's not a good chain. And then I think in our case specifically, we try to be the chain that offers like differentiated tech stack, right? It's a tech first and foremost, but also the ultimate goal of a chain for developers, I would say, is it's offering the users, right? You need the developers, users, and then the underlying infra, right, as like the flywheel. And to really truly start the flywheel, you need the developers. So the initial kind of focus has to be on the developer side. How do we go to market?
What drives attention in crypto?
Maybe knowing like the psyche of the market, right, and really understanding the like what's the most talked about topics of the day. I think that drives the very much minute by minute, second by second attention.
Yeah, I'm asking you this because I feel like you guys did a very good job in doing that in terms of the NFT sales and all those things. But we can expand a little bit more on that later.
All right. Yeah, I think we can take a step back a bit for our listeners, Joanna, if you don't mind, like introducing like what is Soon, and of course, I think the number one thing that's like on like everybody's mind, like what's your like journey also like personally and so on.
Yeah. Happy to give an overview. So let me start with Soon first, right? Soon is a roll-up stack that allows anybody to use it to spin up their own SVM chains, right? SVM stands for Solana Virtual Machine. So you're bringing the Solana execution environment to any ecosystem across basically non-Solana ecosystems, right? So the benefit of that is, one is bringing the top technical performance to other chains that don't share that kind of parallel execution environment. And then the second is really the builder culture, right? Because we have all seen in the last, I would say, year or so, right, the new narratives keep popping up on Solana, like agents, AI agents, or meme culture, prediction market, etc. Right? So I think that happened for a reason, because the user experience at the end of the day was just superior on these Solana dApps. So now you can finally use the favorite Solana's dApps onto your choice of chains, right? Even if you're not having all your liquidity parked on the current mainnet. So that's what SUNA stands for, right? And then my personal background, I came from initially before crypto, I had a traditional finance background, trading currencies for over a decade, and then throughout that process, basically, I lost money and basically treated crypto as a pure investment until like 2017. I was finally kind of brought to light by the whole Ethereum smart contract capability, the programmable future, and that got me into more of the technical side of things, learning about Solidity in the coding camp, and then that kind of launched me into this starting this crypto developer community in New York, and fully dove into crypto with my first gig in Coinbase as a listing manager, and that propelled me into like the infra side of things after that with Optimism and Elio, another chain.
Got it.
Always, yeah, been focusing on building crypto ecosystem from the ground up, and previously took two projects throughout the TGE.
Nice. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So I'm not technical. I'm more from a retail user point of view. Would you say
Sure.
Soon is a bit like a SVM L2 launcher on top of different chains? Can I understand it as like that?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, that's a great way to phrase this, right? Yeah, so essentially we're allow people to launch their own Solana, right? It's like the launch pad that allows, for instance, we have two mainnets live. One is the SVM rollup on top of ETH L1. That's what we call Soon mainnet. That's our own POC chain. And then the second chain is called SVM BNB. So that's the SVM rollup on top of BNB chain. So it still allows you to burn your own BNB token, but instantly we're bringing this entirely different ecosystem, the Solana ecosystem, to BNB, right? So to retail users, again, like you can use your sort of favorite Solana apps now on BNB chain.
Oh, okay. So I was playing, Marco, if you don't mind me sharing
Yeah.
the screen a little bit, yeah. So like, I was playing around with Soon, right? So not gonna lie, I was touching grass this for the past few weeks because like it's just nothing much going on really. I didn't realize you guys went on mainnet. Okay, it was a little bit different for me because like it was very interesting that there's a ETH, SVM ETH and an SVM BNB, but the activities is so different. So like the one on BNB, the main traction I would say is on the meme coin pairs, and whereas the
And
one on ETH is on the major pairs. Are the liquidity isolated from the layer 1 and 2 on, or is it just like the user profiling, like just because people that bridge from BNB are typically more degen, so that's why they like to do
yeah,
that?
good question. Yeah. So that's really great observation. The purpose of these two chains are slightly different. So the current Sumina, the one on top of Ether one, right? So that was the one that got launched first, right? So it was very much a general purpose chain. We didn't push it like one way or another. And organically, what ended up happening is a lot of I would say, edgy, like interesting use cases are experimenting with it. And basically, like AI consumer are the main traction so far. As opposed to the SVN BNB chain was very much DeFi, degen heaven, right? Like very much of new memes, new assets being launched on this SVN BNB chain. I think especially with, CZ giving us a shout out, surprisingly, like all of a sudden everyone is like, okay, there's maybe wealth creation effect in this new chain. And another really funny story is our DevRel, his name is Raul. Apparently, is the most commonly used name in India, so that helped a little bit. And he launched his own name, right, as a meme coin, just as pure testing purposes, kind of like the TST, right, in
Yeah.
BNB land. And then within like 12 hours, not even 24 hours, it immediately jumped like on the, just took a life of its own. He even used a very traditional, I would say, old-fashioned way to launch this coin, because at the time we didn't even have a meme like launch pad yet. So he just posted like his CA in the tweet and asked everyone to drop their like Solana contract, and then everybody just like kind of like did it out of curiosity, and then all of those guys immediately got like a 10,000 USDT worth of
Got
airdrop. So a lot of folks are like, oh wow, miracle still happens on chain. So I think that kind of wealth creation effect was initial. It was enough, and then initially like getting people excited about the like launching new memes, launching new assets on the chain, and now it kind of snowball into this effect where you see like TVL. I think right now I haven't looked, but last time it was like 22 million within like the last 2 weeks, and then like really large transaction volume on that too.
I noticed. Okay. Would so I imagine launching more SVML2s are not permissionless, right? Right now, at least at the early stage.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be a little bit hard to manage? It's like one people, like, well, as a project, managing one chain is tough enough. You guys decided to start managing two at a time. I'm like,
Yeah. Again, great question. Yeah. So I think this goes back to what makes a good chain, right? So let's go back to that question. The more detailed version of that is you need both, good tech and good community, good ecosystem, right?
I mean,
So I
come
think
on,
this.
you guys did a very good narrative play for every second, from the NFT launch to the token to
Right.
the SVM BNB. Like, you're not mentioning, but like, it's a very good job. Not gonna lie, that like narrative creator is top notch.
Yeah. I definitely think we kind of. I'll be honest with you, right? We kind of like stumble into this use case of the using the stack as a way to provide kind of like a multi VM narrative for these EVM based chains, right? EVM based L1 L2s. The this is like a very much of a like I'm starting to see a PMF, right? The product market fit within this specific use case. Initially, we built the tech stack just for like application specific use cases, app chains only. But then when like BNB reached out, it just made a ton of sense, right? They they're on Twitter talking about like Solana, talking to Solana builders anyways. They're trying to convert them, and then now you have this, kind of like a transplant, right? Like this way
Yes, it's like a
to
bridge.
directly
So
like horizontally like move those guys over to this ecosystem as opposed to like vertically trying to integrate them by educating these guys like new uh, yeah programming language and the entire like different ecosystem benefits, right? So I think that made a ton of sense. And then the best part is we already have, as I mentioned, like 2 months ago, there's an initial start on the Zoom mainnet side. So we already have 40 applications that launched live on the Zoom mainnet. And majority of them are, not majority, 20 of the 40. So half of them are Zoom native. So we were very lucky that we can just bring those guys directly to the SVM BNB chain. So to these new chains, not only we're bringing the good tech, but also immediately bringing these new applications, right, that are Solana level, that's top notch to the new chains. So I think that's what like really made a ton of sense for them, right? Because we're basically bringing like our own ecosystem builders, right? Our own basically like the existing pipeline of people that these guys has been trying to build for years.
Nice. Okay. A little bit like nitty gritty, right?
Sure.
Performance difference. Is there a performance difference in terms of ETH BNB SVM ETH and SVM BNB? Is there like a performance difference because of the finality, those kind of things, as the core layer one part?
Yeah, absolutely. So now with our SVM BNB chain or any really SVM versions, right? We can do 30K TPS on the throughput, which is you know let's call it like at least 10 times more than what any ETH L1, L1 NL2s can do.
Right.
And then on the finality side is down to 50 milliseconds, which is again even faster than let's say Solana mainnet, right? It's being hard coded to be like 400 milliseconds, and that is because we decouple the consensus layer from the execution layer on the SVM side, so we were able to do a lot faster.
Is there like to be honest, like I'm a narrative and a DApp user, so I don't really care. But for the sake of understanding the full project, like, is there a case of like rollback or because like you need to sync with the layer one somehow, like your
Right.
performance will be top, right? But how do you package the detail and finality to, let's say, ETH, which is a very slow chain?
Yeah. So we use Merkleization, right? That's the one of the innovations that we made. I would say, we work very closely with Anza. That's the Solana developer,
Anza, yeah.
spin-off on that. So what that ended up doing is essentially packaging all the batch of executions, and then basically using the ETH security as an underlying trust assumption, and still allows like the performance improvement to happen on Ethereum in a native way, right? So at the end of the day, it's a like kind of to your point, right? It's a real rollup as opposed to a sidechain. If you're talking about sidechain, the security assumption is you're using a multi-sig between the two sovereign chains, right? So that can be easily ruggable. We've seen this with many recent cases before. But when you have a actual native rollup, then the funds are getting locked onto the L1. So you never had to worry about, as a user fund, right? You never have to worry about the rollback security breach, in that sense.
How are you thinking about like ecosystem and liquidity in this sense? Because to me, like it feels like, I guess, let me like set up the question first, right? So like if you have like multiple, like if you can be like a launcher, like what like Lambro said, and you can be like the SVM for multiple different chains, to me it feels like a new user might get confused, like, okay, like which one should I use? Are the liquidities going to be spread across like different chains? Like, how are you thinking about ecosystem, I guess?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like in terms of the ultimate vision, like what we were trying to do is called like super adoption stack, right? So that's just a, I guess, fancy word of saying bring all your no, please,
I was gonna say that, but I'm like, oh, I don't really know you. You're Marco's friend. I feel mean saying that, but yeah, like.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to use, this is talking about narrative, right? You have to use
Right,
things
right,
that people can remember. So SAS is the name. Okay, SAS.
Yeah.
How about that? And that framework is just essentially saying like all these different liquidity venues, right, eventually interrupt, right, within the Soon universe. So to your point, right, let's use Cobalt X example since you're just looking at Ambro, right? So now you go to the biggest DEX on Soon universe, you can safely assume that your liquidity can be natively interrupting like within these chains.
With all
We
the other Soon
use
chains.
we use like a intent solver to make sure it's like chain abstracted, right? So so you can easily like you don't have to like swap between the two chains. You can just easily like go from chain SVM to the
Got
Soon.
it. So it's like slightly, of course, like inspired by the optimism model. I guess like you want to like
Yeah.
eventually, there's like a bunch of chains, and your value add is that, of course, you
They're still
can,
building the interrupt piece, but
yeah,
everything else is
yeah.
very similar to what they're initially
Okay, got it,
designed.
It's like
got
an
it, got it.
SVM version of OP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
So better tech from the get-go, right? I mean, we're building we're building very as I mentioned, right? Even the throughput side, we can turbocharge that to 80K TPS, already reach that benchmark with
Oh,
the fire dancer integration. We're the first team that integrated that because we had to decouple. It's not tightly coupled, right, between the consensus and the execution layer, so we can easily swap out that execution client from Agave. That's the one that everybody else is using right now, to the Firedancer client.
I would jump the gun a bit before I pass it back to you, Lambro. Like, I was just thinking for like optimism. A lot of people like criticize, but it's also true that the majority of like what they have been doing in terms of like BD and scaling, it's mostly like very like B2B, right? Like these other
Yeah.
chains building them, but then they don't own the user per se. Like, do you kind of foresee that? I'm not sure, like either because of the technical levels, things are different. But do you see the same pathways of like, oh, you like ideally want to see so many different like entities and chains like launching SVML2, or is it more like, oh, I better focus on like like the Mega Eat style. I'm gonna find like 5 really strong soon
Good
app
question.
app device. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would say we're the second category if you have to pick one. The reason is we have to first prove, right? It's a POC chain, like for the Sumina, and we have to first prove our worth or our use cases before we go out and kind of like BD these other chains to use our tech stack. So yeah, that's exactly what we did, right? In the entire system of our chain, even from like I would say day one, we're like thinking about what are the potential use cases, things like streaming, right? Like you can finally do like video streaming on chain, things like dating apps, right? I know it's like a
Yeah.
ancient question, like why can't we do dating apps on blockchain?
I think we're far from that. Like you get people like
Yeah,
this coming
yeah,
onto dating app. I don't think it works, bro.
yeah, that's right.
Got it.
Um,
Got it.
yeah,
Makes sense.
girlfriend, right? Yeah, I mean, you name it. It's just a lot of different like edgy use cases that will allow you, yeah, to do really fun stuff, but that really enables, I mean, being unblocked by the high throughput, low latency. So we did a lot of that in the beginning. We did a bunch of hacker houses around the world. One thing I didn't even get to mention is we're also very focused on the emerging markets. I would say emerging developers in emerging markets, right? We kind of have like two camps of developers that just naturally like make sense coming on too soon. One is like early developers, that haven't really gotten any sort of ecosystem help from the Solana side, but they've been trying to build on Solana, and then they realize, you know what, it makes total sense to be like the first DEX, right, on Soon, or the first Lightning Protocol, or the first, meme launch pad, right? And then we are in these regions locally ourselves, like as in our own BD people, DevRel people are already located in, say, Southeast Asia, UAE, Turkey, India, right? These are all regions that we're super bullish on. And then, so we use our local connections to really screen out the best developers in those regions. And we host these like local co-working events, right, that last for like 1 month long to really incubate them. That's how we ended up with like half of our projects are Soon native. And then the other type of developers are EVM based, that like are blue chips, right? So a great example of this is Dodo. So we know
Oh,
Dodo,
Dodo.
right? It's a DEX that
Oh.
has been only working on the EVM side for years, but very much bottlenecked by that kind of tech stack. So they really couldn't break out of, rivaling performance as like a Solana DEX. So in that case, right, they were curious about Solana for years, but they couldn't really figure out how to maintain their existing use base and user base and liquidity, right? So now you can actually still tap into your existing community that been building for since 2017, and we provide them the technical help to help them rewrite the code base. So these are like the ETH blue chips that are curious about Solana, and then we just spend time to move them over to SVM. Yeah.
Nice. Not gonna lie, I was very. I realized I sidelined a little bit too much. Like I bought some of your NFTs and I just kind of like went away. I saw Twitter timeline about the new meme coins and stuff, but like I didn't do it. So like let me like me, right? If I'm brand new and I want to say
Sure.
get me some exposure, what can I do right now as a user?
Great question. So we are running and this is our problem, right? If we're not like loud enough that you don't know what the first thing to do. So that's one note I'm going to take away from this call.
You guys are not listed on DeFi Llama for some reason, by the way. Because like I was
Exactly.
trying to find the most active. Like you guys are not on the Dex screener, not on the DeFi Llama. So I was like, what can I do?
Yeah. We don't want to, pay the whatever the grant that they're asking for, but we're talking to those guys.
Right, right.
Stay tuned. Yeah, so we're on CoinGecko though. Anyway, um, so what is happening now is we have a existing ongoing. You can see. Okay, maybe on back to the first page because this is the
Uh-huh.
ecosystem page. It
Oh,
should
just
give you, if you go to
Click soon.
that one, yeah. Let's see. It's not showing you. Okay, this is the issue. Okay, I will go back and change this.
okay. No
Ongoing,
worries.
ongoing incentive campaign. That's called the Big Bang. You can go to. Can you click?
Ah,
I don't think it's in here, so sadly, but it should
no
be
worries, no worries.
discovery.su.network. Yeah, that's the
Discovery.soon. Okay.
yeah.
Discovery.soon.net.
Anyway, so that's the current, like we call Big Bang, right? Our Quest campaign, right, where users can come in and just do a simple deposit and keep their funds onto the ecosystem for number of days to receive points, right? That's our TVL campaign that has been running since SVM BNB was launched. So that's ongoing campaign that we will keep even beyond TGE. And then prior to that, we did another season. This is season 2, where we actually highlighted each of the top apps, so for people to interact with. And very soon, a little alpha here is we're about to launch another campaign that's actually incentivized by our partner, our strategic partner, Eigen, right? So that's the RDA partner here, and it will be like double dipping. So for anyone that's doing TVL, you're farming points from both Soon token and the Eigen token.
Nice. Okay. I guess I'm gonna do some homework, play around a little bit, and then maybe we can do a separate catch-up session with Marco just on this. Okay. I think we're coming to close to time here, so there's 2 more questions I want to ask you.
Please.
Would you rather the answer? How do you want to be a cult leader as a chain founder? Is that something you want to be, or do you want to talk about your NFT, the NFT campaign experience? Because I thought that was
Wait, no,
that
the
must be a lot of learning.
the
I'll
NFT
let you-
campaign is part of being the cult leader.
Okay, we'll mix it into one question. As a cult leader, how did you design yourself to be the cult leader and raise the NFT mint?
Oh man, yeah. I think the founder led marketing, right, or as we call cult leader, marketing it's a must in the current environment. It just made a ton of sense. Like in our case, that we have we have this NFT. Let's go back, right? Like, why did we do what we did, right? So this happened back in January, before we launched right after we launched our mainnet. So this is already like one thing that immediately differentiates us from the rest of the pack, right? We're the only alt VM chain, right? Not only just SVM, but like all VM, right? Including the other virtual machines like Move and Fuel. The only alt VM chain that launched a mainnet before launching a token. I think that itself is kind of the right thing to do, but the hard thing to do. Okay, and we saw this as an opportunity. Okay, so we launched a mainnet product now that people need to be experimenting with. So how do we get people to excited about this, right? How do we educate the community and give them some skin in the game too? So we thought about like, okay, using the NFT mint as a way to really providing this what's the right word? It's like a ICO style, right? Like token fair launch. How do we actually build a community is by actually rewarding the community, the end user of your product, right? Not to just give it out to all the VCs, right? At that point, just to be very clear, like we didn't raise a single dollar from the VC. So what we ended up doing is this permissionless fundraising exercise where anybody wants to join can join, right? And we defined it in a way that like different tiers can be matched to the different risk appetite. So there's the VC type, right, that likes to hold on to a token for at least a year long, and pay like the valuation expectation is very low. And then there's also like other vesting terms differences, right? So we got basically the lowest valuation, but with the longest vesting, and then paired up with like the lowest vesting, even can be unlocked on TGE day one, but with slightly higher valuation, right? So that paired up with the right kind of risk appetite, but even on top of that, we kind of baked in the discounts, right? Or we call like basically airdrop into this exercise. So, people, there are two type of discounts. One, actually three types. One is the people that have been yapping about us, right? So have high social impact score on Kaido. So we also were the first team that worked with Kaido, integrated with the API. So we automatically, recognize the higher impact people can get a higher discounts on the purchase price. And then two is, people who have been referring us to other ecosystem partners. That's another score. And then the third one is folks that have participated in the first season, right? Big Bang. So been working on these various apps, trying out these new apps. So that adds up to, I think like up to 50% discounts. So like people can still get in at a really low price. But we didn't really believe in like just, airdrop like everything on day one, at like for free, right? And then, the sell pressure will be too high. So the point is, you give people the skin in the game. It was 50%, 51% reserved of our token for community. This one was the first step. There's many different campaigns, as mentioned, right? And leading up to TGE that could, benefit the community, that adds up to the 51%. So I think all of this is like a new, first of its kind, ICO style playbook, and it generated a lot of hype, right? So one thing I didn't even get to mention is like we also kind of developed this cult. Okay, you can say cult, I guess. People that are tweeting about us on social media with this like red pill, right? The memes.
The red pill. Yeah.
The what do you call it? The emojis. Sorry.
Yep.
And then the idea is like we're red pilling every chain to become like SVM, right? So starting with Ethereum, and then now we're at BNB. We're launching another one very soon in a week. Another EVM based chain, a very recognizable name too. So so we're red pilling one at a time, matrix style. And people who join the red pill cabal, right, can go on like that. That was actually I saw on the main website. You can join this social hub and share your tweets about us, and kind of like connect with your community, fellow community members. Join these local events, right? We're really big in these days in Asia, like Korea, Japan, and China as well. So a lot of the upcoming events that you can be part of.
Nice. So let me, if you don't mind, if I recap a little bit and share a little bit my how I see the things as well, right? So I think your team excel at execution in general, like narrative caching, execution, and you were able to design let's say a fundraising, in some sense that's in the style of ICO, which, because in that time when you guys did the NFT, people were debating about like meme coin fair launch, like VC were dumping people, etc. And you guys designed a NFT that cater for different types of users, from long vesting, short vesting, low valuation, short-term trader, everyone. While you guys executed very well throughout, let's say, building a community, tagging on BNB chain as a narrative. So like it's a mixture of product execution, marketing execution, and narrative catching.
That's it.
Okay, before my last question, when token?
Okay.
Like everything else, as you said, right? Like we execute very fast. We delivered
Okay.
a chain in 10 months, and we have, delivered the stack that actually 5 chains are using right now. So including SVM, BNB. So everything's coming soon.
All that. So everything is coming soon.
Okay. Something soon. Okay.
Okay.
Is there gonna be any program or like in that
Based
case?
on track record, I have to give you that.
Okay. Got it.
I'm just asking, is there a Big Bang 3 or we're going to stop at 2? Or we're gonna... Anyways, I'm joking.
Anyways.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any question for us?
Yeah, question for you. I guess how's the overall user experience been? I'm curious, like, since you've been playing on the different apps.
So, for me, it was a little bit difficult at the start because my common way is to go to DeFi Llama to find the trade, to see the TVL first. Secondly, I like to check volume because I think volume speaks a lot. But those are like the common things I couldn't get on. I did not realize there was some point that I didn't really get it why there's a SVM BNB and SVM ETH.
Yep.
I am very happy that you guys were able to boost up altcoin volume because like you guys on the Ralph pair, you guys are doing like 600K volume still, which is very good compared to non BNB and like Solana chains. It's already very good. I am excited and not excited at the same time because I think SVM is cool, right? But Solana haven't have that many interesting DApps. Like performance is good, but the thing is like they haven't had any like crazy, let's say, Ponzi farming game that went for a good time. Or like the mechanics why EVM still has more interesting DApp in some sense.
In terms of
just
the money
because,
game. Yeah.
in terms of money game, in terms of like there's not as many contracts people can fork, right? Compared to EVM. So like SVM, it's a better functionally, but because like I'm here for short-term speculation for this market, I'm like, oh man, because Solana doesn't have that many like Ponzi games as well, so the Ponzi builders might not come to BNB.
I would actually disagree with that. I think I've seen a lot more Ponzi games on the Solana side, especially when we're talking about memes, right? I mean, it depends on what you mean by, like, maybe you're talking about like DeFi specific
Yes,
Ponzi.
DeFi specific.
Yeah.
I think he's talking more like Sonic style of money game and like Bear style of money game.
Yeah.
No, I got you. Yeah. Like immediately when you said that, I know what you mean. But I think a lot of the, I mean, just using my experience, right? Because I live in New York, so I see the new like Gen Z type users that just got onboarded into, blockchain was all coming through like Solana through
100%.
Through memes.
100%, yeah.
Like everybody, in 2024 who came into crypto was because of Solana memes, right? So I think that was very much like they actually focused on what Solana did well, how they onboarded the retail crowd was the only chain who did that successfully in this last cycle is because they focused on this other, like if you talk about barbell of like a PMF, right? They only focus on like the other end, right? The speculative version, as opposed to like, I think everybody else is like going for like staking, restaking, like on ETH, right? It's very much the one old game. Yeah, for like 6 months or so, everyone was just like parking their assets.
Restaking is the future.
Yeah, and I think that's what like makes me excited about using SVM on ETH because all the OG money are still parked on ETH, right? I mean, my own like NFTs, like I still couldn't figure out how to liquidate that from 2020, 2021, 2020 era.
Yeah.
Circa 2021. Yeah. So like all these, idle assets that needs to find a way to be used more capital efficient way. And that's what SVM brings in, right? It's this high frequency, high volume type of trading. Maybe you can call it microtransactions, right? So I'm not a whale like you two, but I like to see more people, right? Trying to use the chain to do like these speculated, like high frequency type of trading, even though it's like a microtransaction, but it can be unblocked by SVM.
100%. So like Marco actually is a trencher. I am a I am a trencher, like you can just tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, let me rephrase. I'm bullish on long term, but I think there's not enough developers that are developing with SVM, so it's going to be a little bit harder. But like obviously, your execution and tagging on narrative is so quick. SVM in
And you have a
general
focus,
will grow.
yeah,
Exactly
on
right.
emerging
So
markets developers. So like at least you're focusing on something very specific. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what kind of set us apart. It's the talent market in this, these regions, right, are just untapped, unserved. So yeah, we still have
Yeah.
many people that are in the pipeline, that are waiting to be discovered.
nice. Oh, by the way, one last question before my final question. Is the USDT native on your chain right now,
No,
or is it a
no,
bridge version?
bridge version. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So we ask this question to every guest that comes on. What do you think is required to make it in crypto?
Wow. You guys keep giving me the hard ball. Yeah. So I think it comes down to, I hate to say this, but it still comes down to product market fit as well as mind share. Yeah, those are the two things. I'm thinking from like the builder perspective. I don't know if you're asking from a user perspective.
So this is an open-ended question. Like, it's interesting. Like, people that are builders give a very trader reply, and some very trader give a very builder reply. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's why, like, again, I have to mention the fact that I sit on these panels with other chains, and I realize like everyone is talking about in theory, right? Oh, my TPS is gonna be whatever million TPS, and then I was like, why do we give a fuck, right? Like, why am I being like rolled into this you know like this? I don't want to use bad words. Okay,
Let me
so this
imaginary dick size contest.
yeah, technology in theory, right? Like, we are all about being practical, and pragmatic, and delivering what we're promising on, right? So that's first bring the product to the market and find some product market fit, right? And then at the end of the day, right, all these chains that, again, like I'm on panels with, struggle with the same question. It's like, how do we find how do we build ecosystem, how do we find builders? So I realized what we have is actually a leg up on these folks, because we focus on the ecosystem building first, right, before we even deliver a token in many cases, but at least a mainnet. So we already have that ecosystem, a vibrant ecosystem. Folks are excited about us that are part of the Red Pill Cabal cult. So now we just have to basically bring mindshare, right, to like kind of out of our own echo chamber, right, to talk about like why this matters to the more general public. So with that, it's all about, yeah, as you said, like narrative marketing, really focusing on like the right people, the right kind of like partners, right? That we have a few like that, that really kind of like bullish on us and talk about us openly. Yeah.
Got it.
Nice. Thank you. Like, I like how she phrased the "how do you make in crypto" into shilling the project again.
It's good. It's good. No,
That's
but
what
like
the
This is
people call me,
founder-led
sorry.
marketing right there.
that's very good. That's very good. But
Thank you.
real talk, thank you for your time, Joanna. And yeah, please check all the show notes if you're listening to this for all the details, and we'll put like the Big Bang link and all of that. Yeah, and I'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.